Hello everybody, just thought I'd like to introduce the project that I'm currently working on. It's my 1950 Ford F-1 pickup truck. I've been working on it for a few years now. It was a running vehicle when I started taking things apart. It had somebody else had done like a resto mod on it, a little bit rough. They had put a Nova front clip on it, 305 Pontiac engine. And it ran pretty nice, but everything looked really rough. It had a Kano paint job on it, and a lot of rust was covered up with Bondo and so forth. Anyhow, I wanted to rebuild it. I started working on it, and one thing led to another, and I've basically been rebuilding every nut and bolt on it. Let me show you what I've got here. As you can see, the truck already had a tilt front end on it. It's all steel. It's the original metal, bolted together and hinged at the front with a couple of big gate hinges, and pretty heavy. But I like it. It's kind of cool. You could work on it very easily like that. One of the big things, and I'm going to put some pictures in this video that I had taken while I was doing some of these modifications. Like I said, I didn't really have any video as I did this until now, but I'll throw in like a little slideshow of what I had done. One of the big things was the front subframe. This is I think it was a Pontiac Omega or Phoenix, 1979 front end. I had redone the grabs. The original one, they had left the long legs of the subframe underneath the chassis, and big steel plate tying it together. Nicely. And rebuilt all the front end components, new brakes, new suspension pieces, all that's new. I have the engine, I repowered it with this is out of a 94 Ford Mustang GT. That's one of the things I wanted to put a Ford engine in it as well. Nothing wrong with the GM motor. I just wanted the Ford motor in my Ford. So this is a 5.0. It's basically stock, except for I do have trick flow aluminum heads on there. I've painted them to make them look stock. Now the intake, I put a Wind. I got to swap meet a Wind tunnel ram. Single 4-barrel tunnel ram, and I welded in injector bosses into it, and I'm using a 4-barrel throttle body, and I'm going to make my own fuel and EFI setup, a Mega Squirt I'm building. The TFI distributor that's normally on there, if you're familiar, they have a big distributor cap, and it wouldn't clear the tunnel ram, so I had to make an adapter to adapt an MSD distributor cap and rotor, a Ford 6-cylinder rotor onto it. It seems to work okay. Well, I'll tell you when I get it running. I've got the Ford short water pump kit on it, using V-belts. So I rebuilt the motor. But like I said, it's got the stock HO cam in it. This had an AODE transmission. I rebuilt that as well, and I put all new guts in it. Basically, the wide ratio planetary set. So it's similar to a newer one, but I have to use an electronic standalone transmission controller for it. I wish I knew been a little more careful in my choices. I would have gone with just an AOD instead of the AODE, but anyhow, that's what I have. I put the under the floor master cylinder and brake setup. It did have on the firewall setup, but because it's got the tilt front end, I wanted to leave the firewall as clean as I could, less cluttered, just to kind of showcase the engine. So I put it back under the floor. Had to build all those brackets. In the rear, I swapped to a Ford Explorer, a 2000 model Explorer rear end. It's got disc brakes on the back, and I got 373 traction lock that I rebuilt. Put that in, and then I've got a fuel tank out of a Chevy van that fits in there really nice with the in-tank EFI pump. But the suspension is nothing trick. It's still the differentials under the leaf springs like the stock one was, and I built all the exhaust system myself. But that's basically it. Nothing really exotic. But I want it to be able to be a daily driver, and you know, be able to use off-the-shelf components, except for that Mega Squirt EFI. That's going to be kind of strange. Here's the cab. The body is not really in that bad a shape, considering it's 70 years old. The cab corners are really good in here. Most of the repairs I've done were filling in holes that were like this is the firewall. The previous builder had cut out the firewall and recessed it back for the Chevy distributor, rear-mounted distributor. So I had to rebuild that and refabricate the flange for the transmission tunnel. Filling in where the master cylinder was. And then I've got some minor rust, like the under the door rocker panels were rusted out. I've still got to replace this one. But and there was under the floor battery storage, and but I blocked that off because I'm going to put it in the bed. But otherwise, it's not too rough, really. So I'll be doing as I work on this thing. I plan to document the progress on this channel. I'm going to be painting it myself with like I think I mentioned, this looks like an Econo enamel paint job. A lot of big runs in it and stuff, and it's coming off in a few places. So I'll probably be using a single stage urethane paint. The bed's not in too bad a shape. From a distance, everything is wavy and a lot of dents in it and so forth. So I'll eventually be rebuilding that as well. Anyhow, this is where I am right now, and I'll update as I make some progress on it. Anyhow, thank you for watching. If you'd like to see how it goes, please subscribe, and have a nice day.